next will be David Lester's multiple versus unified self. So from the words of multiple and unified, you can actually have an idea what his theory is all about. So Lester is a British American psychologist, suicidologist, and professor emeritus of psychology at Stockton University. So he said, what's important in understanding the self is actually to understand first the concept of multiple versus unified self. So here. So multiple versus unified self is the construction of multiple selves that varies across different roles and relationships. This is actually similar to other theories wherein you present different presentation of yourself in different situations. So the construction again varies across different roles and relationships. So what do we mean by multiple selves? So does that mean that you have different personalities, this multiple personality disorder? This may not be a disorder, but it is somehow a defense mechanism that we use for us to adjust and be accepted by the social group that we are in. So multiple selves is basically your different identities. Okay? So it is normal kasi for example, who am I as a teacher? Ako ha? So as a colleague, as a friend, I have different presentation or personality depending on who I am with and where I am. Okay, so I have different selves and identity depending on the roles that I am playing. Okay, and now, at your age, you are already in your adolescent stage. And during this stage, of course, there are a lot of things happening in your body. And identity crisis comes into play. So, magawas na rin question nga, what do you really want or what do I really want? And who am I really, who am I really? So, something like that. And those questions become the problem because, kumbaga, it's just the time wherein you are trying to build yourself up or your self-concept. But since you have multiple selves that need to be presented, it's difficult to unify them all. Okay? So, coping with different selves constitutes a formidable task among adolescents. So, these challenges contribute heavily to the young person's struggle for a unified self. Because sometimes, you really have to prioritize. So, kumbaga, who you really are and what you really want. So, for example, do you really want to play the guitar? Or do you just want to sing? And are you just playing the guitar because it is what's expected from you by your friends or by your family? And kumbaga, it becomes difficult because you are in the stage wherein you are trying to know yourself and who you really want to become. And then there are a lot of things that you need to do and a lot of roles that you need to take. However, according to Lester, at the end of the day, the end goal is for you to have a unified self. So for you to identify who you really is. And this is very, very difficult. However, you really have to do it. Okay, now, let's move on to this one. What does the self consist of? So for Lester, the human self consists of three related but also separate domains. So what are these three domains? So first is the experiential self. This is the theater of consciousness and the first person felt experience of being. This is tied very closely to memory. Okay? So the second domain is the private self-consciousness system. This is the portion of your being that verbally narrates what is happening. That is why it is considered as the narrator because of this characteristic. So it tries to make sense of what is going on. So this portion of yourself is called the autobiographical self because it is the narrator. Okay? So, and the third domain is the public self or persona. So the public image that you attempt to project to others, which in turn interacts with how people actually see you. Okay, so these are the things that Lester proposed about the multiple and the unified self.